Good evening, Mr. Leon. How are you, sir? That's good. Make sure you stay safe out in the streets and in these times. Holiday season. We don't want to hear anything. Make sure you stay safe out there. Good night, Mr. Makuk. How are you, sir? Kimberly, welcome. Um, hmm? Remember, guys, to share the link. Share the link. Um, share with your various groups so we can share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Howard, how are you? And I don't know how many people will get tonight because I mean, it's World Cup and some people, most of Jamaica is still mourning, still crying over Brazil's lost. Brazil is not my team, so you know Argentina is my team, so I ain't feeling sorry for nobody. Because I'm sure nobody's gonna be sorry for me when my team loses. If we lose, we're gonna win it. We're gonna crown Messi the GOAT. So yeah. France, whatever. It's just a matter of time, bro. So yeah, if you guys could just share the link, share it across our platforms so we can share information. Croatia is Angela's team. Wow. I don't know how Angela picked that. Don't know how Angela picked that, Peter. Wow. Why? Why Croatia? Okay. Tonight, actually, tonight's show is compliments of a gentleman that brought up this topic on the progressive group. I think his name is Davine, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he's here. Davine, if you're here, let's give you a shout out. I'm gonna see if I can find his name so I don't mess this up. If anybody can remind me, remind me of his name. I think it's Davine, something like that. Davine Henry. Davine mentioned on the progressive group that they need to have a conversation about young farmers and new farmers purchasing animals for the first time. And if there's a way to go about it that will help young farmers and new farmers out. And I assume that stemmed from that situation with the goat herder man and the whole situation with the goat being missing teeth or whatever the situation is, and the buyer was unhappy. Goat herder deal with it his way. So I guess that's a hot topic. And I told Devine that, look, in his honor, since he asked for it, we'll do it. We will go over this the best way we can to inform and advise new farmers and young farmers the best approach in purchasing animals, right? And I'm going to make this very clear right off the top. This is not about selecting the best animal, right? This is not about how do you look at a group of animal and see which was the best. Because if you're a new farmer, you're not going to know. If you're a young farmer, you're not going to know. If you're not an experienced farmer, you're not going to know what horn set to look for, what the top line should look like, all that. You're not going to know. So this is not about that. This is about the steps you should take so you have a better chance at starting off on the right foot. This is what this conversation about. So I don't want nobody come after me and attack me and go after me for no reason at all, because I'm not giving advice on how to select top breed animal or the best genetics and none of that. I'm talking about procedures people should take to protect themselves so they get a healthy animal or a half decent animal and don't feel like they're ripped off 3 months down the road. That's what I'm talking about. This conversation is about that. It's not about selecting the best goat out of a herd or none of that, right? Because you're gonna need special skills or experience in order to do that. We all know how tricky that can get. So my advice, the number one thing I would say, if you're getting into the business, and I've said this before over and over, do some research, do some real research on what you want to get into. You know, like figure out if you want to be in it for meat, milk, genetics. Do some real research, right? And find a mentor, somebody who's experienced in it and is doing what you would like to do on the next level. Find that mentor, go to their farm, understand how they operate, understand what they do, why they do what they do, and let them explain things to you. So you have a better understanding of what you should be looking for when your time comes to acquire an animal or to take care of an animal. Do not go into this blind because a man tell you say you can make a money out of goat business. Right? Have some idea of what you should be looking for. Have some idea of what a meat goat looks like versus a dairy goat. Look what the real names are. You know what I mean? Like there's no ewe female goat. It's like does, dolings, dams, sires. Like sire is a male. But people use terminology, ewes and whatever. But I understand it's like from old school thing, but we're in 2022. New farmers that are getting in should just do some simple research, figure out the terminology, figure out what's the difference between a dairy goat and a meat goat. How many different types of, if you're going to do business in Jamaica, what are the different type of goats available in Jamaica? You understand what I mean? What are their purpose? So when you go to purchase animals, you have a baseline that you're starting at with the conversation. You know what I mean? You're not flying blind. A man can't sell you a 6 for a 9 because you actually know. You have an idea of what you should be getting. So when a man, you tell a man, say you want a graded Nubian, and him saying you a goat with brown head and white body, and say you're a graded Nubian, all the you know, you should right away questions in your head like, I don't think so. Is it a 50-50? How is it? How is it where the Nubian come from? You know what I mean? So you should have these understanding going in. You can't go into a business where you don't have no idea what you're getting into. So that is my number one thing. Do some research, find a mentor that can help you. You can learn some basics. You know what I mean? So figuring out what you're gonna get into. If you're going into it, let's genetics. Say you like how Mackie got them look, and you think say you can do a similar job to Mackie. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the top quality animals, the best you can find, or do you want to start in the middle and work your way up, or do you want to start on the commercial level where there's no real registration, or it's just commercial and you build out from there? You have to decide which level you want to be at. Remember, top level, goat that's sure quality animals, we're talking about top money, big money. The middle, that's what it says, like, yeah, middle ground money. Then you can get the more affordable ones, the commercial meat goats or whatever, at a reasonable price, right? So you have to figure out where you want to be. And just remember, if you want to start with the quality where you see Mackie with, where you see Al Archer with, you see Dr. Graham with, then if that's what you really want to do, stick to your guns. Stick to your gut, be patient, and buy top quality. Because if you really want to produce top quality animals, then you have to go get top quality animals. Because you're new to this. So you're not going to understand what it means to breed up to the top quality. It's going to take you a while to understand the nuances. There's a learning curve to starting in the middle or the bottom and breed your way up to top quality. So if you really want to get into top quality and be a top quality breeder, buy top quality goats off the bat. Stick to your gut. But if you think, okay, you know what, I'll have the patience and I'll learn as I go, then buy the middle ground and breed up to that point. But I'll tell you, stick to what your gut tells you. How you want to do it, stick to your gut, because you'll enjoy the process more. Now, you decide, this is the next step. You decide what you want to do. You decide that you want to be a top breeder. You want to get into top genetics, the best of the best, or middle ground, whatever you want to do. Now you have to find a reputable, trusted breeder. Select a breeder you can trust, you can have a relationship with. You can go visit the farm. You can see how the farm operates. I may get a lot of blowback from this, but whatever. The hopping around the country and all the different places and buying one goat there, so one goat over there, so one goat over there, so whatever, you're buying problems. I'm telling you the truth, and I'm telling you from experience. And anybody who disagree with me can put up them on right now, and let's get into it. Hopping around, buying one animal over here, one animal over there, an animal over there, you are buying problems. And that I'm not taking back my talk on it because we've been through it. You want to find a reputable breeder that has the quality animals, the type of animals that you would like to have, and buy animals from that person. You can have two. Let's give you two so you don't mix breeds or whatever. Let's get two farmers that you trust, that you know he's gonna sell you quality animals. You understand what's going on at those farms, and buy your stock from them or from that one person. Because if you jump around and buy animals from here, there, here, and everywhere, you're buying all different kind of dormant disease, and like the disease that doesn't affect the goat that you buy, but it affects another one over here. And when you put them all together, all that just comes alive, and you have big problems. You can have a farm that nothing, every goat on that farm looks fine, looks good. And the minute you move them and go put them with another goat, sore mouth arise, pink eye arise, all that stuff arise. And when they're by themselves, nothing happens. So to lessen that risk, I suggest you buy from like one or two trusted breeders. Patience is the name of the game. As Darren says, trying to grow too fast will bring you problems. It definitely will. And we're talking from experience here. So choose the breeder, understand what the breeder does. If they have the type of animals you would like, develop a relationship with them, lay out a plan to acquire the animals, and build out from there. One or two animals, right? One or two farmers, I mean. And you build out and grow from there. Because hopping around is buying problems. DeAndre says, if you buy from one person, I think you will be doing a lot of inbreeding. Not exactly true. The possibility are maybe higher. However, if that the good breeder, he will tell you, no, you can't get that female and that buck because they're related. You know what I mean? They will tell you, oh, you see that buck over there is not related to none of those females over here. Completely two different. If they're good breeders, they'll keep it separate. So knowing a farmer and how their breeding system work is helpful. They'll tell you the truth. Or as I said, have two that you're sure. Not even in Jamaica, you still can't be too sure because everybody seems to be related. But that soon change. With all these imports and these AIs and everybody, you not give them a year and a half, everybody will tell us that they have imported goods. Nobody's going to be related anymore. Everybody's going to have imported goods. So don't worry. You don't have to worry about that pretty soon. And Darren has another good point. People run into problem because they don't quarantine. But even with not quarantine, even with the quarantine, there are certain things that once animals get together, certain things come, certain pathogens, what is it called? Pathogens come alive. And then you just have to deal with it. It may go away, but it usually happens. You know what I mean? Even sore mouth, pink eye, all those things, you know what I mean, comes alive once they start mixing, and you just have to deal with it. We didn't have anything that caused death, but abscess, sore mouth, pink eye, all that stuff came alive once they mixed. Um, Leon has a comment here, but where I want to sell goes for 250 up, 250 and up too. So I will buy from everyone to achieve that goal. Well, you know, that's the thing. Everybody wants to get there real fast and sell good for the price of Mackie and all and Dr. Graham and them are sell good for. But that's so short lived. If y'all pay attention, in the last 2 weeks, I see about 3 farms selling out, 3 goat house being dismantled and sold. 3 goat house. There wasn't even no goat. If anybody remembers seeing those posts, give me a thumbs up. There was about 3 of them I saw on Facebook that were being dismantled and sold. Goat house. So the one of them that come in thinking they're gonna make a big buck, a quick buck, that's a problem. See, Leon said yes, he saw them, he saw it. He saw them. Yeah, there's posts where people not even selling goat. There's two of them that's selling a goat, a bull heap of goat, so you know them are sell out. And then there's some goat house that were being dismantled and sold. So it tells me that sometimes you can't really say for sure, but you just know, say, oh, a man come in and they not work out, whether it's workers, whether it's the expectation is completely different from the reality, or a man get him visa and I leave, and not leave it to nobody. Okay, so here are the things. If you find your farmer that a breeder you're gonna buy your animals from, right? The things you should look for and have conversations about with the breeder is the quality of the animals, the structural quality. Does the animal look healthy? Does the animal look energetic? Does the animal, based on your research, is the animal matching the things you read about, watch YouTube about, talk to people about? You know what I mean? Solid, firm legs, good top line. You know what I mean? The headset is good. It matches what the animal breed should look like. Good bone structure, solid bone, not them fine feet and them things, right? Is the animal in good condition? The body score, like if you getting into this, you should be researching and knowing these terminology. So the condition of the animal, the body score conditioning, is it up to par? Is the animal looking good? Is the coat of the animal shiny? Is the body of the animal fit the breed type? So like a boar should have wide and deep body, right? Firm, strong, firm legs, nice big round rear end with a slight slope. All that you should know, and your mentor, if you have a mentor, should be able to tell you, point these things out to you. And remember, if you're buying young animals, the 3-month-old animals have a complete different look from when you get to 6 months. Okay, so it's important that you deal with a reputable breeder that's going to show you the offsprings, that's going to show you the mother, that's going to show you the sire. People who are not here don't understand what the sire means. The sire is the dad. And when I say the mother, the dam is the mother. So if you hear me say the dam is the mother, if you hear me say the sire, it's the dad. For the newcomers who don't understand the terminology. And Leon is saying, you have some farmers who pump up the animals to sell and baby oil them. Hence why we're having this conversation, right? We're trying to teach people what they should look out for, right? And how do you get past these scammers and get past these um, people who are not trustworthy? How do you get past them, right? You find yourself a trusted mentor and you go and deal with a reputable breeder, somebody that you can that can be held accountable, somebody who know that their reputation is worth more than just one goat. It's just that simple. You know what I mean? If you do your research, you should know goat down the top teeth. So when you peel back the lips and thing, you would know what to look for. The whole goat, was the goat have any teeth, and did somebody clip the teeth or file on the teeth? It's a laughable conversation as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so now that you've found a mentor, you've found a reputable breeder, you have an idea of the type of animals or what the animals um, conditioning should be, what are the traits, you have an idea what they should be. Now you have to decide for yourself what what is gonna be the basis for you to acquire animals. What kind of animals you want on your farm? Remember, you could be going into milk, you could be going into meat, or you could be going into genetics. But still, those three things have different management um, practices. Like you could have a meat production and you want your animals to be an intensive production system. That means the animals don't go out. Or you could have a grazing system or a semi-intensive system where they graze and come on my house, right? Or you could have a system where they just go, they stay out there and they find their own food, or you move them when you feel like move them. Whatever is going to work best for you, right? What are the important things? Do you want animals that are very hardy? If you're into the dairy thing, do you want animals that produce a lot of milk? If you're going for meat, do you want animals that give you lots of meat to bone ratio instead of these skinny little legs and skinny native goats that don't give you good meat to bone ratio? Or are you into genetics that you know you're getting quality animals that are showing all the traits for the breed, from that breed, show type animals? Horn sets right, top lines right, rump is right, legs are right. You know, like Jamaicans love the Roman and the Nubian, all that's there. Are you buying those animals? Are you getting those animals? Is that important to you? You know, Nubian is a milk animal, supposed to be. Jamaica breed it out. But for me, who for us at cab ranchers looking at milk, the Roman is not that important to me because I'm not showing any goat at Demby. So the Roman is not important to me. How big is the udder? How much milk is that goat producing? How long is she producing milk for? That's what's important to me. If I'm in meat, the same thing goes. Hardiness. Can I graze these animals? Right? I don't care about the horn set. How fast can I get these animals to market? Look like Peter has to run. All right, Peter, little more. Peter, thanks, bro. Darren said the best breeders the best breeders I know are not even on social media and groups. Well, um, I don't know what to say about that, but that could be true. All right, so think about what your production system is going to be like, and what is important to you when it comes to selecting your animals. You want hardy animals, you want animals that produce a lot of milk, you want animals that are got good meat to bone ratio, like some highly graded animals, or do you want quality show goat animals? You have to decide what you want. And my suggestion to you, like I said before, stick to your gut. Stick to your gut. Do not let anybody deter you from what you really want, because you're going to have to pay for it in the long run. It's going to take you longer to get to your goals. Stick to your gut. If you want top quality, then buy 3 top quality instead of 10 graded. If you want milk goats, search the all ends of the island or the earth to find your milk goat and buy milk goats. Do not make a man tell you, oh, you can breed up to it. It's going to take you a long time, and time is money. So if you have the ability to go get 5 milk goats instead of 15 semi-graded, go to them, say produce some milk, it's better you buy the 5 milk goat, because before you know it, you're producing offspring from those 5 milk goats and you're doubling. And now you have 10 milk goats in short order. So stick to your gut. Stick to your conviction. That's what you want. That's what you're going after. All right. Now, when I talk about the breeders, right, that you're buying your animal from, you have to know how they manage their herd, how their system work. You know what I mean? Is it grazing? And if do they match what you plan to do? If you have land to graze, do they graze their animals, or do they house them all the time and feed them here and concentrate that you may not have access to? Or maybe start in your plans because you have so much grass. Why would you want to go buy hay? Now you have to know, you have to find out for yourself, okay, are these animals going to be adaptable? Are they going to be able to go graze? Do they really, is it in their genetics to graze? You have to make that decision. You have to decide if the breeder match what you want to do. How do they feed? How do they manage the herd? You know what I mean? You can't buy grazing animals that are used to walking all over the place, finding their feed, grazing, and then decide to house them in an intensive system. They're going to fall off before they actually start thriving, because they're not used to the cut grass. They're not used to the shaft grass. They're not used to all of that. So you have to decide, okay, I'm going to try to get them to adapt to an intensive system. Or you could just find a breeder that does grazing. Or if if your system going to be intensive, find a breeder like Maki that does completely intensive. Make life easier for yourself. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to go against the grain. See, Diane, all things are possible in this world. However, there's a cost to all of it. And of course, you can buy animals and get them to adapt to the next system. But what is the cost? And how many animals you may lose doing that? Why don't you just go find animals that are already going to be working for your system? I understand if you can, then of course. Or the quality animals that you're looking for may not be may not fit in what you're trying to do, and then you take your time to get them to adapt. But I'm trying to give people advice here to say, yo, this is the way you should approach it. Think about the best way to approach it, especially when you're new. If you're new to this, then how you gonna adapt, get a go to adapt if you don't know the process? You don't know what steps you need to take. Eliminate one step by getting goats that are ready or grazing or already an intensive system. Um, Another thing, whoever you're buying your goats from, try to get them to tell you where their original stock came from. If them say them in like 15, 20 years and they remember whatever, then get them to show you sires, grandsires, granddams, and all of them. Get them to show you these animals. Get them to show you. Because if they're in it long enough, then they should have these animals on their property. So you can see where your animal that you're looking at, where it's coming from. You can tell if you're buying milk goat, you can tell if this dam is a good milk producer, the grand dam is a good milk producer, all that. If you buying for meat, you can see what the sire looks like, how big he is, how strong he is, how he stands. If the grandsire may be still there, and you can see all of that. You can see some offsprings, maybe sisters that are still on the farm. So you can have an idea of the potential of your buckling or doling that you're gonna get. Exactly, Dan. The seller should also provide information on how their system work, what the animals are being fed. As you say, I always tell everybody that buy a goat from Carver Ranch, I'll tell them these animals are only fed grass, grass and liquor grain. They only get supplements if needed. They only get medication if needed. They only get dewormed if needed. So our system is pretty basic and should be able to be adapted. And when you take the animal, they adaptable anywhere they go. Unless wherever they go, there's no guinea grass. You know what I mean? Because they eat guinea grass 24/7. That's it. You know. What else? Let me check my notes here. All right. So in Jamaica, I'm gonna tell these. How many young farmers are in here? Young farmers. I mean, whether you're young as in your operation, are you a year, less than 2 years? If you're less than 2 years, give me a thumbs up. Put your hands up. Look like I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody in here experienced farmers. Okay, Howard should be well versed on a lot of things now, but he shouldn't be able to run any circles around Howard. DG's good galore, yeah. William, Hanif. Okay. How many? I assume you guys already have goats. I don't know if Howard have any goats yet, but William said he can't find the thumbs up. Maybe he's on a laptop. Okay, so I'm gonna go through some basic things. I was thinking of actually thought of bring on a couple of my associates that are versed on, the traits and the phenotype and the genotypes of these goats and stuff. But then I was like, if you're a new farmer, that don't mean nothing to you. It don't mean nothing to you when a man's gonna tell you about these, intricate traits of the Boer and the Nubian. It don't mean nothing. Don't mean when I was getting into this and doing research, it didn't mean nothing to me. Number one, I wasn't interested in show goat business, but those conversation and those terminologies didn't mean anything to me. So I know as a new farmer, for a lot of you guys, if I had brought TJ on and I had brought Rossi on, I want them guys, and the conversation that they'll be having, it was just gonna go over your head. It went over my head. So I figured I would break it down to the layman argument. You know what I mean? I've done, what's his name? TJ already done a show about that with us, about what young farmers should look for and what they should for getting into the business. We did that show already. So we did it. So I can do it again. But what I realized is the conversation really went over the young farmer's head, because the conversation was about what the animal looked like and the different definitions of, and as a young farmer, you don't care. You just don't want to get ripped off. You just don't want a man to sell you a 6 for 9. You know what I mean? You don't want a man to sell you a graded goat and tell you say it's a full blood. So I'm trying to get people the information to avoid those mistakes. Make decisions that lessen your risk. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to give farmers, because just telling people, say, yo, I'm gonna sell a goat on Facebook and tell you say it's a graded, it's a full blood or whatever, and them look good and them look big and them look fat. That don't mean nothing, man. That don't mean anything. You could easily get ripped off. Right? So do your research. Always do your research. Find a mentor. Find a reputable breeder that will understand what you're trying to do and will help you get there. If you take these simple steps, it lessens the risk of somebody taking advantage of you. Exactly. Here's the number one thing them tell you. Oh yeah, this is egg egg line, eggshell line. This is the magnum line. This is the trumpet line. This is the trump whatever line. There's gonna be all these lines. People telling you the new one is straight AI offspring, AI this. The new one's gonna be talking about imported. They are gonna come selling you guys all kinds of new terminology to sell you guys stuff. I'm not knock a man hustle. I'm making it clear I'm not knocking a man hustle. But the conversation and the post of people getting off of needs to stop. Who are the reputable breeders? Back to Darren's question. Who are the reputable breeders? Well, that comes down to your experience with dealing with farmers, dealing with people. Because I may have a good relationship and experience with TJ, who we bought the original 7 goats from. And I'm sure there's going to be somebody who's going to come and say, yo, I had a really bad experience with DJ. So what I've learned and what we've learned here at Cabo Ranch is establishing a relationship. So that way, when something goes wrong, then you have a open communication to deal with it. Get what I'm saying? You take all these necessary steps so when something happens, you have an opening door to deal with it. I don't know who the best breeders and who the most reputable breeders. William says, Ray, something you have to knock your not something you have to knock their hustle because them doing that to really take maximum dollars out of people's pocket trying to start. It's true. They are really a lot of them are taking advantage of newcomers, young farmers, newcomers. They are taking advantage, and I see it every day. And some of the people them that people are saying are top breeders, yeah, they may have top genetics or whatever, but are they quality business people? You know what I mean? Do they have a moral compass? Because trust me, I know some of them don't. I know that for a fact. Some of them will take advantage of you like that, especially when you're new. And then fill up your head with all kinds of things because you don't know. And I'm going to tell you to trust them because them know. They know. They've been doing it a long time. Don't listen to these guys. I've been doing it a long time. I know. Just so they can take that money from you. So the process and the steps you need to take to protect yourself, it's important. Lay it out. Don't rush into it. Don't rush into buying animals just because. I know people who get into the goat business and them just see goat and buy goat and they don't even have a goat house. They don't even have a little hut or they don't even have a piece of rope to tie up the goat. Man buy goat and I call us and I say, yo, can you keep the goat for me? Because I'm going to build my goat house next month. Because you feel like he's missing out on something. You feel like if him don't buy this amazing buck or somebody tell him is the Magnum line and the this and the that, he feel like he's missing something. So Darren says a new farmer only needs a good buck. Start with graded animals. That is true, Darren, if your objective is meat. If my objective is to get milk, what's some graded goat are gonna do for me that don't produce milk? What are they gonna do for me? I'm just gonna have goat to feed. That's why I say to people, and I keep saying it as like what your gut tells you, what your initial objective is, be patient and stick to it. If you're going into it for milk, do not buy animals that are not milk producers because you're actually just buying animals to feed them. And you're going to get frustrated and you're going to lose interest because you're not doing what you go into it for. You're not enjoying the whole process because you wanted milk. You wanted to make lotion. You wanted to make soup. You wanted to make ice cream. And you have goats that can give you that. So don't. So you see Darren saying we are 2 years to buy top genetics. There you go. So don't tell people to go buy whatever, bro. Tell them to wait the 2 years like you to get to them one. See, Dean Lloyd says he built his goat out before he buy one goat. Exactly. I remember we built truly amazing octagon goat house and we only had 7 goats. But guess what? It motivates you to fill it up and to, you know, learn your skills of taking care of them, and you're comfortable in that space, and you can know the nuances of what's going on with your herd. Like a herd where they have 5 or 10 goats, and you can build out from there. But if you start off stressing about where you're gonna put 2 goats, you have nowhere to put them and ask people to keep them for you, whatever, then you're not gonna enjoy the process, or you're just in it for hustle. William says a market full of breeders. You don't see nothing yet, William. You don't see nothing yet. Wait until 2 years when all these imported goods start kidding and it's being distributed around the island. Then you're going to hear about all these kids from imported goods on the market. Then it's going to be a worse situation. It's going to be hard to figure out what's what. You know what I mean? Right now, it's hard to figure out what's what with the AI. Can you imagine when these imported animals the offspring start hitting the market? Randy says, if all goes well for me, I want to start my excuse me. I want to start my goat farm next year. I would like for you to be my teacher in this goat farm. Hey, I'm ready to help. I'm ready to help anyone. I don't know if I'm a teacher, but I can advise and I can do some mentorship and I can, steer you in the right direction. I don't know if I'm a good teacher. Trudy is a great teacher, not me. I have too much, maybe we call it unrealistic expectations from people. Yeah, Rossi always get a lot of props for answering farmers' questions and giving farmers advice. And he is a wealth of knowledge. So if you can strike up a conversation with Rossi and pick his brain, you get a lot of information from him. A lot. And he knows a lot about the different breeds in Jamaica. Gavin, don't worry. Don't worry about it. You'll get the help you need. Like this community here, iGoat chat community, we will help you get there. Our associates goes far and wide. Even people that you don't see here, we have associates across the spectrum, whether it's in Jamaica or overseas. So we will help each other. What am I missing? Let me give you a quick rundown of what you should look for. Let's say you're looking for boer goat or meat goat, right? You need them. I think I went through this briefly earlier. Start from the ground up. You need to have solid feet, solid legs. You know what I mean? Good bone structure in the legs, firm, straight legs, right? And they should walk smooth. don't walk with a limp or look like they're laboring. Should observe them, make sure they walk smooth and energetic, right? Make sure the body is wide and deep. Wide and deep mean like wide chest. You guys know Jamaicans love Boer goats, so you know the wide chest and then the length of the body, how deep it is. The barrel of the animal should be wide enough so that they can take a lot of feed and the dolings can carry kids, right? And the top line should be level, straight and level, and not, I don't have a pointed bone too much or a saddle back, right? Should be straight level, right? And then the back end of the animal, right at the rump, should have a slight slope because you need that to. It's the way their intern work where it helps to push the kids out, right? So that's basic. We'll have to do a whole show on the characteristics of a breed for you guys, for me to get into that. And I have to bring the likes of Rossi or TJ or one of those people on with demonstrations so we go through it step by step. And this is not what this show is about. This show is about how you protect yourself, the steps you should take to protect yourself from being taken advantage of. Because as a new farmer, that stuff not gonna mean nothing. But I'm just putting it out there. The difference between a meat goat, which is like a boar, and a dairy. So the dairy goat now should have longer body. Like you guys know, the Nubians are way longer than the boars. They're way taller than the boars. You know what I mean? And their top line also should be straight, smooth top line, right? And when you're looking at, especially for dairy goats, if you can see, if they never had kids, you should be able to still be able to see the teeth of the udder and see if it's well defined and it's two defined teeth, long enough teeth that can, you know, you can hand for milking, right? Or you can see their mother, and see what her udder looks like, right? So those are the things you should always pay attention to, right? And when they said order that's well attached, properly attached, is, you know, fullness and attached high up underneath the goat, not really hanging low, because that could be a problem. They should be well attached up. So when it's full, it's not dragging on the ground or becomes a problem, right? And that's a nice order. But that's for another show where we can dig into these things. This show is more for taking steps to protect yourself. Here, and this is the great thing about this, our conversations here, is people will be telling us in real time some of the things you should avoid. Like Darren saying, don't buy goats from pics and videos. Decide to buy only when you are on the spot. Now, that's true. No, but if you're overseas, that's why it's important to find somebody trusted on the ground. Or if you come to Jamaica, establish a mentor or a breeder that you can trust that's going to give you the real deal. I'll get second opinion on it, because, there's too many horror stories. Too many horror stories about this. People buying goats, they are foreign and buy goat, and when they come home, it's not what the video or the picture says. Yeah, it just goes on and on. See, and here's a testimonial of in the vibe saying, yo, he learned that lesson 3 years ago. Fool him once, can't fool him again. Yeah, there's a lot of stories about that. People in overseas buy animals, and when they come, it's not what they're expected. or um, people just basically lie about what they have available, what they're selling. They lie. You know what I mean? I don't know the story with the goat herder man. I didn't dig into that story, but too many of those conversations are happening. Too many of those conversations where people are upset that they don't get what they thought they were getting. And another question I have that nobody can really answer for me is, if we buy a goat at 3 months old and at 6 months I realize something's not right, who's responsible? Am I the buyer responsible, or the man who sell me the goat is responsible? We're talking about 3 months after I buy the goat. Like, at what point do the buyer take responsibility and say, yo, I made a bad call? I miss it. I missed on this one. Or do you just say, oh, you sell me a bad goat, you should have known said a goat, and now I got this, you should have known said that goat. How you don't know when you buy the goat at 3 months and you only realize it's at 6 months? Yeah, and we've had the reverse. We've had this little runted goat in the winner's lounge running up and down with everybody else. This guy drove his friend to come buy a nice little buckling. He sees this little runted goat running up and down. He's like, sell me that goat. I say, no, that goat's not for sale. We cannot sell that goat in Goofy. We'll never sell that goat. He said, no, man, sell me goat. How much feet? How much feet, Mr. Bridget? No, star. Next thing you go tell people how you buy this little runty goat from Carberry Ranch. Him said, no, man, just sell me goat. I like the goat. Just sell it to me. I said, all right, give me 5,000 for the goat. He said, serious? I say, yeah, give me 5,000 for me and take it. And give me the $5,000 and take the goat. And friend come back about 3 months later or whatever, 3, 4 months later, them come. We say, yo, what happened to the goat? The guy showed us video of the goat. Was a whole different goat. The goat was thriving. He looks big. He's healthy. He's like thick. I'm like, yo, this is not the same goat. They say, yes, it is. I'm like, no, dude, this is not the same goat. Him say, yes, it's the same goat. The goat just took a little longer to develop. So it goes both ways. You know what I mean? It goes both ways, where you can buy a goat that look really nice at 3 months or 4 months, and then it just takes forever for that goat to develop. You don't see any development, or it just goes downhill. And then you may get a little goat that's just like whatever, and next thing you know, 8 months down the road, the goat is like looking like a monster, looking like a superstar. And you're like, what happened here? So it could go both ways. You could take the bullet. If you choose to buy the goat at that young age and it doesn't work out for you, then that's how it go. You know what I mean? But if you can't blame the seller, because you both are looking at the same thing and come up with an agreement on the same thing. Darren said buying a book is always on the buyer. Buying anything, where I think buying, whether it's a buck or a doling or whatever, it comes down to what you agree to. You see it, you like it, you agree on a price, end of story. You know what I mean? Because first of all, you can buy a doling and that doling end up being barren, but the man who sells the goat not gonna know that. How is he gonna know? He can't know. There's no way for him to know that goat's gonna be barren. Mark says, use a reputable transporter to pick up the animal. He will inspect the animal before taking the animal on your behalf and call you on the spot and advise you whether to move forward or to leave it alone. Well, yeah, you could do that. That's solid advice. That's not bad. Another comment here: the buyer is obligated to know what he's buying. The seller's job is to sell at all costs, so he has to present his product as pure gold. It's out of moral and good business relationship. A seller would identify the defects of the product. True. But how many of those do we have? How many sellers we have that's gonna tell you the defects and even lower the price of a goat just because I even see that, oh yeah, well, that goat there, you're not too right. So if you still want it, I'll give it to you for less. How many of those do we have? The thing that puzzled me about that whole thing is that the goat had no teeth, but how did he survive so long? I'm so confused. I'm equally as confused. Because if the goat at that age had no teeth, that goat wouldn't be in a condition for you to buy it. Realistically. And people who know about goat know that if a goat at 3 months or 4 months don't have no teeth, that goat is not going to be in a condition that you want to buy it because it's not no teeth to eat. Wilfrey, welcome, bro. He says, good night, everyone. How are you going to purchase a goat and have it for about 4 months and then call to complain about its features? I believe that it's a buyer's responsibility when you purchase an animal. It's your responsibility to check. I can't see, it doesn't show you the whole thing. But it's your responsibility to check over the goat and make sure it's what you want. And if there's a problem, it's a violation to post or our personal conversation on the internet. It affects my business negatively and it can cause me to lose future customers. So here, let me quickly address this whole thing of people getting disgruntled or feel like they've been done wrong. So they quickly turn to these platforms to voice their displeasure. If I'm a seller and a customer calls me and say, look, I have a problem, it's my responsibility to figure it out. How I deal with that customer will in turn affect how the customer deal with the situation. If I'm nice and try to resolve the issue, I don't think the customer will turn to the internet. But if there's no resolution or satisfactory resolution, then they will turn to the internet and turn to these platforms. The objective is to avoid that, have a reasonable conversation, come to an agreement, because of all the work you do, it only takes one of those things to tarnish your reputation. It only takes one man to go on the internet and say, yo, XYZ, and now everybody's questioning every move you make. So it's in your best interest to deal with it and come to an agreement offline. I call it offline before it gets online. It's not a good look. It's definitely not a good look. And I wouldn't want Cabo Ranch to be in that situation. So we will definitely try our best to resolve it, and to, if it means that I have to give back a man a little money, just so I don't have to deal with the embarrassment and the argument and this and that. I would put my case out there if a man feel like he wants to violate. However, I'd rather we settle it offline. You know, so if you know that you've done wrong, then fix it. If you weren't on the up and up with it, then fix it. Fix the problem. That's all I gotta say. Um, okay, so do we have any other questions or comments before we leave? Yes, Dan, it's an unfortunate situation that we hope we don't see again, and hence this show tonight is to help new farmers and young farmers navigate this whole buying animals, blindly buying animals in Jamaica or wherever. So if you don't have any other comments or questions, we will bid you all good night, and see you guys next week. I think, well, next week will be like a week out from Christmas. So that may be the last show for the year. Yeah, I think that'll be the last show for the year next week. So we'll do like a little Christmas something. I don't know. I'm saying. All right. Okay, folks. Good night, and see you guys next week for the last show. I mean, maybe like a yearly recap or something. And we will wish you guys happy holidays and all the best. And we'll do all that stuff next week. And stay safe. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy the rest of the World Cup. Argentina to the world. That's all I gotta say. Messi, the GOAT himself. Anybody who don't believe in that, then sorry, Funa. By next week we will know. No, we won't. But anyways, people will be crying anyways. All right. See you guys.